Welcome back to another episode of Gray Street Radio with your host, Danny.
And Mikey.
And today we have a very special guest on. He actually hosted our event on, what was it, Friday, right?
It was Friday,
on
November
Friday,
13th.
November 15th.
13th.
13th? Oh my
13th.
God, 13th. Coño, man, I'm
Today is the 16th.
Today's the 16th. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so this guy, a super amazing guy. He's hosted several events. I mean, this guy is probably the event master of Miami, bro. And we got DJ Oski on the line. How you doing, DJ Oski?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. You guys were awesome on Friday.
Thank you, man.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it,
We appreciate
brother.
that a lot.
We appreciate it, man.
You guys really brought the ruckus.
Oh man, we do our best. We do our best. I mean, that's what we specialize in, bringing in the ruckus, and then we got to clean it up afterward because you can't ruckus too much. But anyways, Mikey, hit us with one of your questions. I'll go.
Well, Oski, my question for you is, who is the greatest band that came from Miami of all time, and why is it Backstreet Boys?
Say that again.
Wait, no, they came from Orlando.
No, they came from Orlando. They're not. Are they?
What
did
was
they
the
really come from
question?
Orlando?
I'm pretty sure they came from Orlando. No, so
What was
every
the
episode,
question?
to explain real quick, every episode I ask a question that's not a real question. But let's actually move on to the real questions.
All right.
So
Here's the real question. It's the hardest hitting question.
the hardest hitting questions
What's
of all
your
time.
favorite ice cream flavor?
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, you know what? That's really funny. You should mention that. My father owned a bunch of ice cream trucks in Brooklyn,
Oh,
and I
shit.
can't
yeah.
tell you how many ice cream cones I've made. And
Oh my God,
everything. No, this is a serious question, you guys. And I'm a fat boy, so I mean vanilla. Vanilla, is
really?
the best flavor because you could add anything to vanilla. You know,
Ooh, okay.
I gotta tell you, I can't tell you how many milkshakes, how many cones, how many double cones, how many banana boats, how many ding dongs I've made. Do you know what a ding dong is?
Not the shits from Hostess, no? And there's something else?
A ding dong is a miniature sundae. So my favorite ice cream flavor is vanilla. It's the basic foundation of ice cream. Everything starts off with vanilla.
There you go.
Yeah, it is the best flavor.
You
That's
know?
a fact.
No, hold on a minute. Whoa, did you just say that's a fact?
It's a fact. Vanilla is the best flavor.
Dog, I don't know, man. Dude,
Vanilla's the
anytime
best
hits.
flavor because everything that's the foundation right there.
Okay,
You
do you
know?
like Daniel, do you like cookies and cream ice cream?
I fuck with
What's the
cookies and
foundation
cream.
of that?
Cookies.
It's vanilla.
All right, whatever.
Do you like do you like cookie dough ice cream?
Of course I love
What's
cookie
the
dough.
foundation of that?
I think it's vanilla.
vanilla.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, there we go. The
All right.
endless possibilities with vanilla.
Look, vanilla is like it's like the primer, right?
Yeah.
It's like the primer, and then you add whatever you want in it to get whatever else kind
But
of
also
flavor.
you can just have normal vanilla and that would be good
And
enough.
there's another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the ice cream that McDonald's sells and the ice cream that Wendy's sells, and most of the ice cream that's out there is not really ice cream. It's ice milk, or they'll call it the new word. They call it reduced fat ice cream. It's basically it doesn't have the cream in it. Haagen-Dazs has the cream in it. Borden's has the cream in it. It's real ice cream. So
that's
I mean,
why
you guys.
that's why
asked ice
Haagen-Dazs
cream
be so good.
Motto. Haagen-Dazs is that's why it's so good. That's why it's so expensive. It's
That's
it's
true.
it's like saying it's like saying margarine and butter. They look the same. They may have a little similar taste, but they're completely different.
Yeah.
Margarine
Right,
is mostly
okay.
oil, and there's no cream involved. So, it's all about the cream.
Dude, we came for an interview, and this guy, he's like, "Do you know about ice cream? Let me hit you with all these facts right quick."
We got the ice cream man on the call.
Damn,
No, for real.
bro.
And one time for Cool Man in Miami, one time for Mr. Cool Man in New York, Brooklyn, and one time for Mr. Cool here in South Florida.
Hell yeah.
There you go, man.
All right, Oski, what I want to ask you now is what got you into the music scene? What inspired you to start getting involved and start pushing people up on, starting to get shows going and everything?
It was I'm going to tell you what was the reason why I got into promotions and putting my own shows together is because a lot of promoters are slimy. And I said, man, if I became a promoter, I'd want to be a promoter that's fair to everyone, that gives a lot of opportunities. And I just didn't like the way that things were being run down here in South Florida. And when I started, I mean, my first show was given to me by a gentleman named Birdman, Sean Birdman. He's a legend here in South Florida. He has a band called Clan Bake 2000. And when I went from doing hip hop music to rock music, I would notice at the rock shows, I would ask them, "Hey, what time are we playing?" "Oh, just get to the club by 8 o'clock." That's not the answer. What time are we playing? Well, around 10. Around 10, like 11, 12, 9. Oh yeah, around 10, closer to 9. And so I'd go to the club and I'm sitting there 8 o'clock, and they tell us, "Okay, you guys are going on midnight." Well, you could have told me that the
Ugh.
first time.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
popular here. The other thing that was very popular here was people from out of town coming into South Florida and saying that they were from a national distribution label or from a record label, and they were looking for local talent. And they would do these shows on a Sunday or a Thursday. I guess an off night for a club. They'd get a club to buy into their stuff. And what they would do is they would say, "Okay, guys, listen, here's $300 worth of tickets. You guys sell this, bring us all the money, and then whoever sells the most tickets gets the best time spot." And I'm like, okay. So it doesn't matter what I do on stage, as long as I sell a bunch of tickets, I can get the best time spot. They're like, yeah. Like, so if I went on stage and pulled down my pants and played with my butt and my balls, I can get on whenever I want. As long as, yeah, they're like, basically, yeah. And these people, what
Yeah.
they do is that they would go from town to town doing that. By the end of the night, if you needed to talk to the promoter, they'd be gone. So I basically got into it because when I was coming up, none of the rock clubs, none of the clubs here wanted to hear anything besides, blues and jazz and very ear-friendly music. They didn't want to get into anything that was hard or anything that was, pushing the envelope towards heavy rock. And I like heavy rock, and I like hip hop music, and I like different things that at the times the clubs weren't allowing to be put in their club. So if I was to get a gig and they would say, "Okay, it's a 3 hour gig, you play 45-minute sets or hour sets, half-hour breaks." It's a long show. It's kind of grueling, especially for an original band, because we don't do any covers.
Hmm.
And I learned a trick that I would bring in another band. So, for example, I would bring in a band called like Hayes. They were from Hollywood, and I would bring in a band like maybe, you know, um, Nature's Fury. And so now the show, instead of being just a show that my band is doing, it would be a show of three bands. And then what I would do is in between the sets, I would DJ just to keep the vibe going. And at the end of the night, the promoter was like, "Yeah, who are all these other bands?" I'm like, "Oh, they're part of the Oski Foundation. The foundation is a conglomerate of bands." And I would trick the clubs with that. But once I was in the door and the bands did great and they rang a good number, they didn't care. And so that's how we would do stuff little by little.
That's how you got the name for the Oski Foundation, which
Oski
is also a
Foundation.
band of yours, right?
Well, it's just that it was just a natural progression. It really was. It was a
Yeah.
natural progression, and whenever someone gives me an opportunity, I take full advantage of it. Like if you book my band, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna go by the club and put the biggest posters I can. I'll make some T-shirts that'll say "Come see the Oski Foundation" with the date on it, and I'll give it to the bartenders. I mean, we really did a lot of guerrilla promoting, a lot of promoting, a lot of just different ways of promoting it. You're making sure that it would give me validity. A lot of times I would go to clubs and say, hey, man, I come here and I see you guys have a bunch of cover bands and stuff. I know what you guys pay the cover bands. I said, I tell you what, I can come in here and either give me $600 or I take the door. And I only take the door on people that know that we're playing. If it's someone if someone comes to the club and they say, oh, I just want to shoot some pool, we're not going to let nobody leave, you know? And for the most part, they'll be like, no, boy, just take the door. Okay. We would take the door because I knew that I would have a nice handful of people, at least 100 people to come see me. And I didn't play out a lot. We used to play, in spurts and make the shows meaningful and build up one show to the next show. And then once we would do, okay, it's the Oski Foundation featuring, we named the other bands. And I always made sure that I opened up the set and we closed it. We'd do a shorter set. We'd all share equipment. And it would just make for a very successful night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, man. That's dope, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, really, just hearing how basically it was kind of like the greedy. It's really just like the greedy people that kind of. It's kind of.
It was like their own greed that ended up planting the seeds that allowed for
Yeah.
everyone to have, for you to end up developing this method of gathering a show, and now,
This is what I tell bands. I always tell bands, I get paid to do band consulting. Like bands call me, they're like, Oski, what are we doing wrong? And what's going on? And I tell all the bands this, the magic number is 100. So, for example, if you get 100 people to come see you and they're going to pay $10 a pop, do the math. It's $1,000. If you can make that happen, twice a week, you're looking at $2,000. That's actually, we have 4 members, 5 members. It's extra money coming into the band. The other thing I tell the band, when you get that money, don't try to split that money and like go home with some money in your pocket. No. You're an original band. You take that money and you invest it back into the band. And that could set you up for a little tour. If the drummer has a pedal that breaks, you buy him a pedal. If the guitar player's amp breaks, you buy him an amp. If you guys decide, okay, you know what? There's a show in Tallahassee, and they're not going to pay us much money, but it's going to be pretty cool. And we're going to go play in Tallahassee in front of the college. You guys go, okay, well, how much do we have in the bank account? All right, let's rent the van. Let's go.
There you go. Yeah.
You have to get out of South Florida. Don't forget, South Florida, we went like 3 years without having a major rock station. That's unheard of. That is completely unheard of.
Yeah,
when I was in major metropolis city.
When I was in high school, I believe is when we lost The Rock, 93 The Rock. But then eventually what came around was The Shark. The Shark is the closest thing to a rock station.
104.3, which is like, like indie alternative stuff like that. Like even classic rock
rock
we still got.
Yeah.
We're always going to have classic rock. Paul Casanova and Big 105. That's like the biggest radio show on the radio, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, most def.
I know Paul personally. He's always been a supporter of what I did at Tobacco Road. He's always been a supporter of any events that I would do. Anytime I need to really push an event that's going to be sizable, I would give him a call, and either he would have me come in and talk about it, or he would let me talk on the phone about it, or they would plug it for me. One of the three. He's never said no to me. Never. And you got to build relationships. If you're going to be in this for the long haul, you got to build relationships from the beginning. For example, the relationship I have with your band. I don't talk to most of y'all. I talk to Michael, but hopefully one day you guys will be a huge mega rock band, and you'll remember, Oski looked. All I want to see is you guys do well. I don't want to make it money off. I just want to see you do well. You understand? I want to see someone from the 174 bands that I booked last year become successful, quote unquote successful. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I tell you, it's like the way that I do shows now. You know, I got to credit to my partner. I have a partner. Her and I invented the uber mega small shows, 20 bands, 30 bands. Nobody was doing that. Nobody would even attempt to do that. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
The show we had the other night, we ran a little off schedule. It rained a little bit. You know, you could hear the inside band bleeding over. But at the end of the day, everyone had a great time. And if you didn't have a good time, then chances are you're antisocial or there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
It's true, yeah.
Like all the bands that, because unfortunately, like wasn't able to stick around for too long. But I heard a little bit of Ryan B, and I heard the band right after us, and
Oh,
they were
Ryan
all
B
really
was
great.
off the chain.
No, yeah, I
Ryan
heard a
B.
little bit, and it was really good. I mean, he always does a great
And,
job too.
and I set up the mix of bands to have all the hard and heavy stuff inside. And
Yeah, we noticed that.
all the hard and heavy stuff and the hip hop and all the hard rapping and all the bad words. I wanted to keep that inside. Outside, I put what I call ear friendly, the ear friendly bands, which you know it's done by design. Inside, you can keep all that loud music inside, so it can bounce off the walls. Because you know, metal you can't play. There's no such thing as playing metal, though. There's no such thing as playing punk rock music, though. There's no
That's true.
such thing
That
as
shit's
playing
gotta
hip
be
hop, though.
blasting.
It's got to be blasting. If it's not blasting, they're not. You know, the crowd's not
They're not
happy. The
playing it
band's
right.
not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time we went and played in Gainesville, and in the middle of our third song, mind you, we had a bunch of people in the place. The owner comes up to me and starts talking to me while I'm singing. He said, "Hey, could you lower the music?" And I completely ignored him and backed up and went by the drummer and kept singing and doing my thing. And he was like, "Yo, could you lower the music?" When he said it the third time, I put the fist up in the air, the band stopped, and we left. He's like, "Why'd you stop the music?" "It's rock music, bro. We cannot lower the music. This is as loud as it gets. This is as low as it gets. We're out of here." You know, that's rude, man. He didn't even have the audacity to wait for us to finish the song and say, "Hey, guys, could you lower it down a little bit? It's a little loud." You know, he wants to start yelling, "Hey, can you lower?" It sends a bad signal to the crowd. It sends a signal to the crowd like either the owner doesn't like the music or something's wrong with it, that he doesn't want to hear it. And we ended up leaving, ended up getting a gig around the corner because the club around the corner had beef with the club where we were at. And I told the owner there how rude the guy was and that I had a full band with a full PA system ready to rock. And we don't care about the money. We just want to play. It turned out to be a really good night for us.
Damn, dude. But that's like, who the hell gets up on stage and says, "Yo, can you lower your music?" Like, doesn't even wait. Doesn't even wait. That's crazy, man. Can't believe that shit. Oh man, Mikey.
This is like when I meet with the bands. You know, the first thing I tell them is this: "Look, guys, you don't need me. You know that. You guys have heard my speech before. There's enough bands here for you guys to do this on your own. You go to any venue and say, 'Hey, I got 5 bands. We want to do a show here.' It's going to be really hard for the venue to say no. Just give me the door. What do they care? You know what I mean?"
Well, we actually I remember it was a year or two ago. This show we ended up not doing that well, but we did email Churchill's to like be like, "Hey, can we host a show there?" And they managed to gather 3 other people to play, and we actually played a show there, and we had a part in hosting that event. So it's totally like, obviously, you know, people like you and Backroom Sessions, you guys are really helpful to the community. But you know, if a band really wants to get out there, they can do it themselves. They just need to get, you know, their shit together.
The other thing is that you got to have someone in the band that's going to play double roles. Even if the people don't even meet the actual manager, you call and say, "Hey, I manage a band." It comes out more professional than you say, hey, I'm in a band and we want to do a show at churches. No, I manage this really cool band and we're trying to get some more gigs, give these guys more exposure. They have a pretty good following. Plus, they have an amazing sound. You definitely want to hear these guys. And we're thinking about if we could, do a night on your slowest night. Give us your slowest night and let us prove ourselves, let them prove themselves. And then, bring us back on a Saturday. But it's really hard for a club to give you a Saturday or Friday if they don't know you. So there's ways of doing things. When I first played at Tobacco Road, and I used Tobacco Road as a reference because at the time, Tobacco Road was very hard to play at. You had to deal with the booker named Mark Weiser, who was he was very controlling with the bands that he had playing there. You had to be top notch bands in his eyes, and you had to have a certain sound that was prudent to the club. You know what I mean? And I remember me giving him a cassette because I used to spend a lot of money at Tobacco Road to go see bands and study bands and just chill. I love music. For example, Friday, I don't know if Friday was more for me or for the bands or for the fans. I sat there and really enjoyed the hell out of myself listening to some live music. It's like an IV for me. I really needed that. I've missed listening to bands. I've missed the ambiance, everyone having a good time, the crowd, the applause, the smell of the beer, the smell of the cigarettes, and whatever is being smoked in there. You know what I mean? You can't duplicate that on a CD or on anything. The actual feeling live, the energy from the band, the energy from the crowd. So when I was trying to get into Tobacco Road, I gave the guy my cassette. That tells you how long it was. And he would look at me. He says, "We don't do rap music." I said, "It's not rap music. Don't look at me. Don't look at my hat. Don't look at the Adidas suit. Don't look at the gold chain. It's a rock band." And he's like, "Well, when I get a chance, I'll listen to your cassette." A couple of months later, I bring him another cassette. I'm like, "Yo, this is my second cassette. We really want to play here, Oh, like I told you the first time, we don't do rock music. You didn't listen to the first cassette." It took for me to get a professional manager. And once I got a professional manager, I saw how that hustle worked, and I learned that. And it's when you have someone calling on your behalf, it just looks more professional. The band looks more serious. A lot of times, bookers don't want to deal with the band directly. They want to deal with the manager. That way, that everything could be more organized. You understand what I mean?
So
Did I lose y'all?
no,
man.
we're here.
We're here, man.
So I think what I want to move on to next is, so we talked about how you got started and everything, but now I want to talk about your music and I want to talk about what bands and what like music did you grow up listening to that inspired your music specifically?
I'll be honest with you. There's not a music that I don't like. I'm not a critic. I'm a music fan. I love music. Just the fact of someone getting an instrument and taking an instrument that's just sitting there and it's not doing nothing. It's just sitting there. And humans are incredible. We can build rockets and we can do incredible paintings and sculptures. But I've always been fascinated how someone could take a guitar and, put your fingers in the right places and make it sound beautiful. My father was a musician. He was a conga player. Heavily influenced my life because when we would have parties, my job was to make sure that there was cool music playing in the background until the band played. So I always had access to the coolest music out. I'm a big Beach Boys fan because of my mother.
Beach Boys are great.
My mother would put the Beach Boys are so underrated. Oh my God, they are so underrated.
Yeah, people usually toss them aside because they sound really, because they're like, oh, they're just like a pop group. But like People
No,
underestimate
listen to the productions
those
in those.
harmonies. Yeah, the production, the harmonies, the like. This Beach Boys make great music.
Yeah, Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson was nothing short of a genius, bro. That guy, amazing
Um,
songwriter.
I mean, they had a whole team. They had a team. That's another thing. A lot of bands, you need a team, man. But the music that influenced my sound, my style. So obviously, my father played congas in the New York and the Miami salsa scene with my godfather. My father was a conga player. He was a backup vocalist. He was a kind of the cut kind of guy. My godfather, who baptized me, was this black Dominican guy named Papi Peña. He was a piano player, and he was the man. Like, I remember going to clubs with my godfather, and it was almost like Goodfellas. We'd walk through the kitchen and be like, "This is my godson. Whatever he wants, give it to him." I remember I used to run beers to the band. I mean, I would go to the store for them. This is back in the days. The things that I did when I was a kid, you do it now, they take your kids away from you. You know what I mean? And I'm perfectly fine. So, what being influenced by the Fania All Stars, being influenced by New York, because there's music in New York that you don't hear in other parts of the country. Like there's music in Miami, and this is back in the day before the internet and all that stuff. Now everything you can search music and find it everywhere. But there was very regional music. Like South Florida has their sound, New York had their sound, LA has their sound, DC has their sound. And what influenced me the most for my style for the Oski Foundation was I was doing hip hop events. We brought down Fat Joe from New York City, from the Boogie Down Bronx. We brought down Ultramagnetic, Rocksteady Crew. These are groups that probably you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. But these were all really cool pioneering hip hop groups. And I was getting kind of bored with doing the rap music. Even though I had a DJs and we would do a really live show, my father would always tell me, "You're a musician. Why are you doing rap music? Why don't you start a band?" And then I saw an ad in the New Times. They were looking for a lead vocalist for a funk band. Must like G Love, Jamiroquai, and Marvin Gaye. I've never heard of G Love. I never heard of Jamiroquai. I knew Marvin Gaye because my dad had all his records. And so I went to a record store and I bought all the G Love that they had. And I bought all the Jamiroquai they had, which Jamiroquai had 2 CDs at the time. And G Love had 1 CD at the time. And I went home and I listened to it over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, wow, this is some really, really cool music. And so I created the style of the Oski Foundation around Marvin Gaye, G Love, and Jamiroquai. And I'm not ashamed to say it. That's the sound that I get from the Oski Foundation. That's why all my songs sound kind of different, but sound kind of the same.
Right.
I have a songwriting pattern where we come in with an intro. If we don't hit you with the hook right away, we come in with an intro. We hit the hook, go back to the verse, hit the hook, go back into a guitar solo, go back into the last verse, and then we're out. Or do another guitar solo before we go out. I'm heavy. I want to give my band or the band just as much shine as I do. So I'm really into like long guitar solos. When we play live, there's no 2 shows that are the same because it all depends on how long the guitar player wants to play on his solos. So, I write it out. I'll play some percussion while he's jamming. I'll just jam. And to answer your question, that's it, man. I'm heavily influenced by Bob Marley. Just a bunch of bands. A bunch of bands, Ruben Blades is one of my favorite songwriters. Todd Rundgren, that's another guy. He is. You guys know who Todd Rundgren is, right? If you don't know who Todd Rundgren is, look him up. He is the most underrated songwriter ever. But he wrote a song that you guys should know. They brought it back to life in the '70s show. It goes, "Hello, it's me. I've thought about us for a long, long time."
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
very very cool song, and he wrote that when he was like 17. So I mean, as far as influences, I'm heavily influenced by my dad, my godfather, and my actual sound of my band. G Love, Jamiroquai, Marvin Gaye, and as of lately, New Orleans music.
New Orleans
Cause
music. Wow.
yeah, I recorded a song about New Orleans. I'm trying to shop it to the tourism board right now. You know, it's just called "Everybody Is a Friend,"
Yeah, I've
and
heard that one.
that was a project that came from God. You know, we were in New Orleans doing some shows, uh, and the last day we did our show, we did like 7 shows in like 4 days. It was for a music conference called Cutting Edge Music Conference. I highly recommend that you guys go and play that. A lot of bands got discovered there. It's like a South by Southwest, but just in New Orleans, on a lot on a smaller scale. To be honest with you, we were in front of the hotel or in front of the house that we rented. We were just jamming. We already had finished doing all of our shows, and we met a guy named Brian Giroux. And in 15 minutes later, we were in his house jamming. This is how people are friendly in New Orleans. And he don't know us. We're 13 deep. 13 of us. Invited us to his house. We're drinking, we're smoking, we're having a good time. And I told him, you know what, Brian, I love your city. I think I'm gonna move here. And he said, you know what, Oski, the thing is that everybody's a friend that you haven't met yet in New Orleans. And I told him, tonight, I need you to go to BMI.com, register yourself as a songwriter. I'm gonna give you 5 points for that. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm writing that song that you just said. Everybody is a friend that you haven't met yet. Everybody is a friend that you haven't met yet. Everybody is a friend in New Orleans that you haven't met yet. And look how green we are. That I should have pronounced it New Orleans. They know that we're not from there because we call it New Orleans. Isn't
Right.
that funny?
Mm.
Yeah.
We're supposed to say,
So,
everybody is friends in New Orleans. In New Orleans,
New
not New
Orleans.
Orleans.
It's kind of like
But
those people like
on the record, the first thing we say is that we're from Miami, just to let them
yeah.
know. New Orleans is funny about that. They don't want you to say you're from New Orleans unless you're from New Orleans.
yeah, they're very I get what would the word be? Territorial?
I don't know, elitist.
Yeah, and
No, that's not.
I figured if I moved there in a couple of years, I should be able to say, "Hey, I'm from New Orleans. This is where I'm headed. This is where I'm at." And it
There you
still
go.
Yeah, you're
doesn't
gonna try
work
and
like
blend
that.
in. Oski, I know you released a new album recently. How recent was that exactly?
Last year around this time.
Last year around this time.
Well,
All right.
yeah,
So,
about let me think about maybe like 2 years ago.
oh, it's been
Oh,
2 years since
2 years.
that came
Okay.
out. The one you
Yeah,
showed me at your place.
yeah, I gotta look at it. No, that album. I think the album came out this year, last year, last
Okay.
year.
So, I think for our last.
It took us 3 years to record it.
Oh. So I think for the last question for this interview, I think I want to talk. I want to let you talk about your new album, and then we'll promote it. We'll put the link in the description and tell people to go check that out.
You gotta play one of the
So,
songs at least.
oh yeah,
Oh, most def,
we can
most
close.
def.
Text me specifically which song you want us to close with, and we'll close the show with that.
All right, cool, cool. I have 2 songs probably. So I'm not an angel. I'm not, but I'm an angel for a lot of people. And I have my own angels. I have people that believe in my music wholeheartedly. I have people that think I'm the best songwriter in South Florida. And I'm not saying this because I'm calling myself that. It's like they call me the godfather of the music scene on here. I've never called myself that, but people started calling me that. I guess because of the wear my hat, kind of my look. Plus, I put in a lot of work. I've put in a lot of work where I could have easily put my band in at 11 o'clock best time and just self embellish myself with the shows that I put on. I didn't start putting my own band back into these shows. That I started doing bigger shows. I kind of was having problems with my band, and I'll be honest. I was working with a guitar player. It's one of the most phenomenal guitar players I've ever worked with, and there was a time when I thought that I couldn't do it without him. Because we just understood each other so well, and we would write songs that fit my voice. Since I don't do any covers. But then after a while, when you keep writing and you're like, you know what, I'm writing all these songs by myself. I just need to find a guitar player that understands, where I'm coming from. My music, when I started this band, I was in a band called Continental, the one that I told you I answered. There was an ad in the New Times. They're looking for a lead vocalist. And I got on the phone with the guy who was running the band, the drummer, a guy named Luis Campos. And the other guy that was running the band is a guy named Juan Sabarito. He worked for the New Times. And I just happened to meet the right people at the right time. And then we had a lead guitarist named Mark Getsky. This guy was incredible guitarist. And we were rehearsed for a year straight before we played a gig, and that was driving me crazy. But they kept saying, we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. But once we were ready, our very first show that we ever did as a band, like I told you, my friend Birdman gave me that gig in South Beach Pub. At the time, there was a place called Rose's Bar on South Beach. That was the apex of live music. That in Washington Square. That was the place that if you played at Rose's Bar, you was legit. And we had sent a cassette out to Inner Circle. They have a record label. The guys who sing Bad Boys. They have a very big recording studio here in South Florida, and a lot of the music you hear on the radio, they recorded at their studio. They deal with all the big boys. We sent them a cassette, and lo and behold, they wanted to sign us to a deal. And the deal was that they were going to record an album. There was going to be a production deal. They're going to produce an album for us. And worst case scenario, we would go on tour with Inner Circle and be the opening act. I mean, who can complain about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they asked me, I want to bring the guys to see you guys perform. When is your next show? We never had a show. I didn't have a show. So I told them, let me check the black book and I'll let you know. Like how soon do you want to see us? Because I mean, we're really busy. I mean, there's all kinds of shows. I just gotta look at the black book. I don't have it with me. They said, okay, well, all my guys are gonna be in town next Saturday. Do you have a gig next Saturday? I go, yeah, I do. I think we're playing on South Beach. I'm lying. We didn't have a show. So I went to my friend who ran Rose's Bar. I went to high school with him. And I said, hey, Chuck, I got a rock band now. I saved you from getting your ass kicked twice. And I'm coming for a favor now. You owe. I need you to give me a night for my band to play here. The people from Inner Circle, they're scouting my band and they want to come see us play. He's like, man, you're not playing your first gig here. I don't care how many times you saved me from getting my ass kicked. I got to hear the music. It's a lot of things involved. He said, well, you see that guy Birdman across the street? Go over there, ask him for a gig. He'll give anybody a gig. He doesn't care. Trying to demean my friend Birdman. So I said, okay, fine. So I crossed across the street and I said, hey, Bird, I just got a residency across the street at Rose's Bar for every last Saturday in the month. He's like, what? Who are you? I said, my name's Oski. I have a band called Continental. Like I said, we got a residency. We're going to start there next month. But I need a gig now because I have some guys from Inner Circle. They want to see the band play live, and if we wait till the end of the month, I might lose their interest. So he said, "What do you have?" I said, "Give him a cassette." He went in the club. The club is packed, and he pops in my cassette. Like 6 songs on it. He let every single song play. He saw that the people liked it, and that was the beginning of that. So once we started playing out, the band wanted to do different things, and I wanted to go in a different direction because they couldn't really understand what was going on. The drummer, and the guitar player, and everyone just decided they weren't going to do the band no more. And so I kept telling them, listen, if we're not going to play out no more, I'm going to start my own band. And that's when I started the Oski Foundation. And moving forward, 10 years after playing, I can show you some of the flyers that we had. We would take a flyer and put it inside like a nickel bag and fold it up to a very little ball and go to the clubs and drop them on the floor. People would see that on the floor and think it was weed or coke or whatever the hell they thought it was. They'd pick it up and open it up and it would be like, come see the Oski Foundation. Don't forget, hugs are better than drugs. And we didn't even have to hand those flyers out to people in their hand. Just throw them on the floor. You know what I mean? And my music from then to now was just trying to get 100 people to come see us locally. And when I started working for Tobacco Road, I put my band on the back burner because I was having problems with like I was telling you, with the guitar player. And it was just sometimes you do things for such a long time, you have to stop for a minute and try something else, but in the same realm of music. I would never turn my back on music. And my latest album, my first album is incredible. It really is. I am so proud of that album because I assembled the best of South Florida to go in the studio and record that with the band. And my second album, which is Celebrate, was put together by God, to be honest with you. I owe my producer, I don't know, $60,000, $70,000 for recordings. Because all the recordings were done on a split sheet, you know what I mean? Meaning I'm not going to pay nothing up front, but if the song becomes a hit, everyone gets paid like a lottery ticket, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I decided to make this album more like with a New Orleans flair to it. And then I wanted to do some kind of hip hop stuff on it, but not do hip hop. And I have a bunch of producers on this album. I tell you right off rip, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Rap Bastard, the sound guy from Churchill's. I don't know if you guys know, that guy's a legend. He has a
Rap
recording
Bastard,
studio in a
yes.
condo on South Beach. Rap Bastard recorded and produced 4 songs for me on my new album. Guess how much Rap Bastard charged me for that?
How much?
Guess. Absolutely nothing.
Oh shit.
What a homie.
Um,
Fucking legend.
Absolutely nothing. I've even asked him, hey, let me get your BMI number. He goes, for what? I said, so I can make sure you get paid on this album. He goes, I don't need money, Oski. I'm helping you because I like you. I like your music. I think the world should hear your music. When you do productions like that, when you find people that are going to record you because they believe in you, that's the best scenario you can find. That's the best scenario. Though the best scenario you can find would have a record label that comes and pays you to record. You know? But when you're trying to get out there and you can find a producer that's going to record not 1 song, not 2 songs, not 4 songs. And when you go to, tell them, listen, I appreciate you doing this for me. Let me get you some, on the split sheet, nothing. My other producer in New Orleans, I met him at Kryptonite. I had just come back from New Orleans, and I was telling him what a great time I had. And I met him at Kryptonite. They drove down from New Orleans to enter a guitar contest. And I was talking about the song that I made, and we was talking. I gave him my first album. Told him to listen to it. About a week later, I got a phone call from the guy. Said, "Hey, if you ever want to record that song about New Orleans, I have a studio. All you have to do is get here." So I figured a song about New Orleans. I can't record a song about New Orleans in Miami. I would have to be plugged into the New Orleans power grid and into that flavor and the smell and the air of New Orleans. So we went up, we recorded the song. That was a huge success. There was like 24 people that worked on Everybody's a Friend. He ensembled the best singers that he could. We got the best trumpet player, the best trombone player. I mean, we got the Stooges brass band on it. We got Walter Rhodey. These guys are all legends. We got Drew Bayham. These guys are all legends in New Orleans. Sticky T, who sang the female vocals, and we recorded it. My friend Brian, the guy who I met, who gave me the idea, he's a photographer. He shot the video for free. Pixels, I met Pixels in Miami. Pixel came to my show, loves my shows, loves my music. He edited the music video for free. These are all things that just came from the sky. So when I tell you that I'm blessed, I'm super blessed. I'm really blessed. I want to give a big shout out to Dale Patrick Latino and the whole crew over in New Orleans. I love these guys to death. DPL Unlimited. If you're ever in New Orleans and you want to record something, that's who you want to call, Dale Patrick Latino or DPL Unlimited Studios. Anyway, and then I'm going through a bunch of trials and tribulations in my life. You know, I wrote a song called Who Is Your God? Then I wrote a song called Charlotte Rose for my daughter. Then I have a song called Old People World that I actually wrote that song 22 years ago when I was really heavily influenced by the G Love style. There's a song about going to a strip club that the strip club part here happened in Miami, and I recorded that in New Orleans with the band that we were going to name. It was going to be Oski and the Swampadelics. It wasn't going to even be on the album. I didn't want it to be on the album. But my producer said, "No, that's Oski Foundation music. Why would you want to confuse people with the name?" I said, "Fine." And then I have two songs on the album that I wanted to. One song I wrote while we were bouncing, a song that I wrote for my mom. I wrote a song for my mom, and I recorded it and I shot a video, but I've never released it to make money. That song was for my mom. A lot of people tell me I should release it to make money, but let's see what happens in the future. You know what I mean? But I never wanted to make money off the song. I just wanted to show my mom how much I cared for her, that I actually wrote and shot a video for her. The album is really good. I have at the time I had the band Purple, which is an amazing band. If no one's ever heard of Purple, they're called Purple with a question mark. Check out their music. I had those guys backing me up. We had Juan Cejas on drums. We had Amari on bass. David Hidalgo on lead guitar. We had Aldo Canales on rhythm guitar. At the time, I had Shelly G in the band. She was the backup vocal. She was the female vocals of the band. Guita the poet. She was the rapper of the band. I mean, we're rolling, 8 people deep, but we're killing it. And as time progressed, some people stay, some people go. And I'm very proud of the album. It's all over the place. You can get it on, you can listen to it on Spotify, YouTube. It's on iTunes. It's on CD Baby. And, the album's doing all right. But, I have 3 videos that are in the tank right now that are about to be released. And, God willing, we should garner some kind of commercial success with it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's what everybody wants. That everyone wants their music to be heard. And there's a very special song on the album called Celebrate. That song is my Kumbaya song. And I sent the song, Rat recorded it here in South Florida. I sent it to my producer and he heard it. He's like, I'm working with a lady named Karen. And she has a children's, young children's choir of kids. And we should get them to sing on this record. I said, whatever you want to do, it's no problem. And he went and auditioned 12 kids. We let all 12 kids get on the record. We went and shot the music video in New Orleans. The lady who runs the choir, her boyfriend is a principal at a Bible school. We had access to a Bible school to shoot the video and do whatever we wanted to. And again, all from God, all from just blessings. And that's the song that I really, really wanted to push on the album. And it's got a bunch of cool kids on it. We went to New Orleans. We shot the video. We had our flight got canceled, and we had another day of shooting. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. And the album's called Celebrate. That's the lead. That's the lead song off the album. And if you haven't heard of the Oski Foundation, please, by all means, just Google it, OSKI Foundation, or Google my name, Oski Gonzalez. And if you'd like to know more about my band, I'm not scared of anybody. My phone number is 305-303-3976.
All right. And yeah, we'll definitely be leaving links to all your stuff in the description. It'll be the first link in the description. We want to thank you so much for coming and talking with us, Oski. We really appreciate it. And literally the first ever live show that my band played was at one of your shows at Churchill's. That was the first real live show we played at that I considered like our first real show. And since then, you know, I mean, we've had our ups and downs. You know, we've changed our name a couple of times. But right now, like, here's some good news. Here's some great news. As of right now, our video, the show we played at on Friday, that video already has over 270 views on YouTube, and it was uploaded on Saturday.
Me.
No, not
I
kidding
didn't
you.
even see the video. Why don't you share? You have to share stuff like that.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you right after
We'll send
this.
you the video.
But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, all the links, all the timestamps, like always, are gonna be in the description. Be sure to subscribe and like and comment. Oh, I mean, you don't have to comment if you don't want to talk to us, but you know, do what you gotta do. Anyways, we'll see you guys next time. Man.
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut your outro.
Nah, it's cool.
No,
it's
you're
cool.
good,
It's
bro.
cool. All right. See you guys next time. We love you.
All right. Take care, guys. Peace.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Make the world a better place if we all just try. We could feed the whole human race if we all just try. And we could end our wars if we all just try. No need to lock your doors if we all just try. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, 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 just a little bit. Let's all celebrate. Love never hate. 'Cause life would just be great if we all got along. Let's all celebrate. Love world a better place if we all just try. All the kids would have a happy face if we all just try. And we could teach the world if we all just try. Every boy and girl, if we all just try. Just a little bit, 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 just a little bit. Let's all celebrate. Love, never hate. 'Cause life would just be great if we all got along. Let's all celebrate. Love, never hate. 'Cause life would just be great if we all got along.
Let's make it different. Love each other. Each one teaches one. We all really matter. This is for mankind. Young future and bright. Bless the children of the world. Say we'll love at a time.
Just a little bit, 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 just a little bit. Just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit.